Tony Blair created the Human Rights Act and put it into British law. Not a proper lawyer, only a human rights lawyer. Monkeys, you can train monkeys to do that job.
The Polish serial criminal had his deportation blocked after he claimed to be a father figure to his nephew.
It's the laws that need changing, and it's the buck stops with our elected officials. Stops with 10 Downing Street.
I wanted to talk about something because we often talk in this about crazy things happening with immigrants not being deported. And I realised that a lot of this is about human rights lawyers, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Who populate our country in, you know, these kind of very ugly people who populate our country and work against our country all the time, and of which Keir Starmer's one as well.
Yeah, but that's because Tony Blair created the Human Rights Act and put it into British law.
Right.
So then that then allowed the explosion of human rights laws because it's now in British law.
Well, you may be pleased to know that this lovely Labour Party of ours has increased legal aid to immigration lawyers by 30%.
Of course they were.
It's gone up from £47 million a year to £61 million a year. So we're actively paying 60 million quid a year to people to work against our country.
Yeah, and do you know who was a human rights lawyer? Sadiq Khan.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know he was bright enough to be able to.
Yeah, but not a proper lawyer, only a human rights lawyer. Monkeys, you can train monkeys to do that job.
Don't call Sadiq Khan a monkey. He'll be arrested by coppers in a very short time. So here's some recent examples in the last week or so of our lovely human rights lawyers and what they've managed to achieve. A Pakistani paedophile was not deported because it would harm his children. A Ghanaian refugee married to a German as a result of European legislation was granted the right to live in Britain. But get this, she didn't actually attend her wedding to the German.
Was it over Zoom or something?
It was over Zoom.
Yeah.
So the ridiculousness here, first of all, she's Ghanaian. There's no reason for her to be here.
Yeah.
Secondly, she's married to a German, not an English person. Yeah. And thirdly, she didn't even go to a wedding. Yeah. But somehow that managed to get through the courts, through with a human rights lawyer, and she granted the right to live in this country.
And that's because in the human rights legislation, there's no distinction between being a citizen and native, English, British, whatever. Human rights are universal rights. So if it's good enough for you as an Englishman, it's good enough for that Ghanaian to claim the same human rights. If you've got the right to live in the UK, she has the right to live in the UK because these human rights. This is the lunacy of the situation.
Yeah.
That's why we cannot. So we see articles such as there was an Albanian who couldn't be deported because his son doesn't like chicken McNuggets in foreign countries, you know, like English McNuggets. Yeah. That really wasn't the reason why they weren't deported. That's just one of the 19 reasons they gave, hoping one of them would stick. And that's the funny one. But as long as you can claim you will be disadvantaged by being deported, then that is against your human rights. So that's why we deport no one.
There's more. A Portuguese, I thought I'd go non-brown. A Portuguese criminal was spared deportation because his kid might have autism. Why don't they just send the kid back with him to Portugal?
Yeah.
A Polish serial criminal had his deportation blocked after he claimed to be a father figure to his nephew. Not his child, not his own kid. Yeah. It's just like some random kid here. Pretend I'm your father figure. Yeah.
Mental.
Oh, it doesn't make any sense. And then a final one on the actual, a Ghanaian refugee, a Nigerian woman failed 8 times to get asylum in Britain, but she was granted it. You've heard this one, haven't you? She was granted it after she joined a terrorist organisation in Nigeria.
Yeah, because now they can't deport her because they may kill her.
So she joined a terrorist organisation. So she's now a known member of a terrorist organisation. Yeah. Surely that would get her deported anyway.
It would have done 20 years ago, but now it makes you stay. The only way we change this is by changing the legislation. We need to repeal the Human Rights Act. We need to leave the European Court of Human Rights. All these things we need to do. Because it's too easy, and the government does all the time, it's too easy to blame the judges and to blame the human rights lawyers. It's not their fault. They're following the law of the land.
Well, it doesn't help that we're funding them 60 million quid, though, does
but
it?
if you was in trouble and you knew you'd done nothing wrong because that's the law, you'd want a solicitor to stick up for you.
Yeah.
That's what the human rights lists are doing. It's the laws that need changing, and it's the buck stops with our elected officials. Stops with 10 Downing Street.
There was quite an interesting case, and I'm sure you've read about it. It was headline news. A judge granted some Palestinian migrants rights to live in the UK, but under a scheme that had been put together for Ukrainian refugees.
Yes.
Now, why this is interesting is obviously it's wrong, because they shouldn't be given the right for the UK, but Keir Starmer said it was wrong. Keir Starmer opined on it afterwards and said there was... said it was a loophole that had to be closed.
It did. So the reason why there was a loophole is because of human rights. Because you cannot differentiate between a Palestinian and a Ukrainian because they've both got human rights.
They're all people.
They're all people. And if you then say we can't have them because of this, well, that's now racism. So the whole system's a mess. This system can't be fixed. You would have to scrap it all.
Yeah. Is that what you do if once you gain power, Nick?
Well, there would be no immigration.
All right, okay.
Yeah, I'd stop immigration.
So what could you do? We're going to talk about immigration, but what could you do, Trumpian-like, if you were suddenly given the levers of power tomorrow? What would you do? How would you stop it? Legally, how would you stop it immediately?
Well, illegal immigration, really easy. I would have the top of the border force, top of the army, top of the navy in my office. I'd say, you have 5 days. If anyone lands on our shores in 5 days' time, you're all sacked. That's how we stop that. That's illegal immigration. Legal migration, that's the Home Office. You get all them in and you say that every visa that hasn't yet been issued is cancelled. It may take years for them to get it's all cancelled. Put a big sign on the internet, then you click Migration UK, it just says closed for business. That's what you put on there. So that's how we stop legal migration. And I'm talking about all migration, at least for a few years. Mm-hmm. And then maybe after 2, 3, 5 years, we could say, do you know what? We need 2 brain surgeons. I'm talking about that limited. 2 brain surgeons we need, and we've got them there. But we need 94,000 nurses. No. Train up British people to be the nurses you need. Start training them now. Yeah. I'd make it easier.
You've actually got 10 million people to choose, haven't you?
I would remove some of the barriers. Nurses don't need to have degrees.
No, they didn't used to have degrees.
No. I was dating a girl when it came out that, because she was a bit upset that now she's going to have to get a degree, but she was applying to be a nurse at the same time that came out, and she was very upset. So lots of things. I mean, there's different gradings of nurses. So a nurse with a medical degree would know a lot more than a man or woman. Yeah. Without a medical degree, we could differentiate between nurses. We already do that.
What would you do with people who are already living in the country who had a visa? Because they get the ILR, the indefinite leave.
Yeah, that's cancelled overnight.
Right, cancel the ILR. So once you get to the end of the visa, they have to go back.
Yeah, anyone who's not born in this country, then the indefinite leave to remain is gone overnight.
Yeah.
And then we need to look at, are you working? What's your, if you're here on a 4-year visa and you've already worked 2 years, well, do you know what? That's fine. Work another 2 years, then you go on. We're not let them know straight away. We're not renewing your visa. So I'd let some people work out their visas and go on. And people who are economically inactive, on benefits, they would all have to go on straight away. And I would half benefits for anybody who wasn't a British citizen overnight. And we're looking at in a year time, 18 months time, to make that 0, make it uncomfortable to live here, so you go home. People are right when they say, Nick, you can't deport 10 million people. And you're right, we can't. The logistics is too much. What we can do is make it a country where you want to go home yourself. So you pay more tax if you're working. You're not entitled to benefits. You're not entitled to many public services. And eventually you say to yourself, I was better off in Nigeria. I was better off in Pakistan. I was better off here, there, everywhere. I'm going home. And we help them go home. And we say to people at a certain stage, we're at a stage now where we start deporting people. And I'm just letting you know, you got a year. But anyone we deport, if you have money in the bank, capital, bought a house, we take the cost of your deportation out of your resources. So, and it won't be like $3,000 for a plane ticket. This is like, to deport someone, it might cost 70, 80, 100 grand when you add on all the people involved and So, yeah, you may sell your house for 30, £1 million. But when we deport you, we're going to take £200,000 off you for the cost of deporting you. But you've got a year to leave. Sell up and go home, and we take nothing off you. Those are the incentives we'd be giving people, and people would start leaving.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. The final one I've got under human rights lawyers, but I think it's just the stupid police people. There's a lady called Farishta Jami. I don't know if you've heard about her. Says she was an IS terrorist, and the police took a picture of her.
I saw this, yes.
So they took a picture of her she's a terrorist, this woman. She was arrested by the police. They took a picture of her. Yeah. But she claimed she was distressed as a result of the fact that she was a Muslim, obviously, and distressed by that
she wasn't veiled when they took the photo and released it to the press. So the police then got Photoshop, put a veil on her, and then released that again.
Oh, was it Photoshop? I thought they retook it. They retook it.
They would have to drag it back in and I would Photoshop. They photoshopped it.
Anyway, all you can see now is her eyes. But she's a terrorist. Don't we need to see her face?
Aren't we again changing the law and the rules to fit minorities, like we've done with the Sikhs, where with crush elements, with all these things? We keep changing our rules because you're different, so we'll treat you different. I just want one law for all the people living on this island, and I don't think that should be controversial.